There's a silent war happening in the hearts of men. One you don't see on the news. One that doesn't make headlines. But it's real. It's constant. And it's leaving millions of men confused, emotionally drained, and slowly losing their sense of self. You see, this war doesn't come with fists or weapons. It doesn't come with explosions or sirens. It comes in silence, in doubt, in second-guessing your worth, in the slow erosion of your confidence. And it's not just happening in toxic relationships. It's happening in everyday conversations, in marriages, in situations where love is supposed to live, but manipulation has quietly taken root. This isn't about blame. This isn't about hating women. That's not the mission. This is about awareness. Because many women use manipulation tactics, and they don't even know they're doing it. They're not evil, they're not monsters, but they've learned, consciously or unconsciously, that certain behaviors work, that if they cry, you'll bend. If they withhold affection, you'll chase. If they guilt you, you'll fold. Not because you're weak, but because you care. And that's the weapon. Your kindness, your desire to protect, your instinct to lead, to provide, to love deeply. All of that, slowly twisted against you. But here's the truth. The problem isn't that these tactics exist. The problem is that no one warned you. No one told you to look out for them. And most of all, no one taught you how to protect your mind, your peace, and your purpose. That's what we're here for today. In this video, we're going to walk through the 6 most common manipulation tactics women use on men, often without even realizing it. And more importantly, you're going to learn how to spot them, how to stay calm, and how to take your power back with quiet confidence. Let's get into it. Number 1. Emotional withholding as a weapon. It starts small. She pulls back when she doesn't get her way, stops being affectionate, becomes distant, cold, quiet. Not because she doesn't care, but because it works. Emotional withholding becomes her currency, her way to control your behavior. And what do most men do? They panic. They chase. They try to fix it. They start to walk on eggshells just to get her back to being warm again. Without even realizing it, you've entered a reward-punishment cycle. One where your emotional peace depends on her mood. One where your value starts to rise and fall based on whether or not she's happy with you. And here's the brutal truth. That's not love. That's leverage. The kind that manipulates through silence and coldness. And it trains you like a dog. Be good, and you'll get her warmth. Disagree or set a boundary, and suddenly, the affection disappears. This tactic is subtle, which is why it's so dangerous. It doesn't come with yelling or drama. It's quiet, and that's what makes it powerful. Because many women were taught, directly or indirectly, that their silence, their absence, their withdrawal is power. That instead of arguing or reasoning, they can just shut down emotionally and get what they want. And if you're not conscious, you'll fall into the trap. You'll think you did something wrong. You'll blame yourself. You'll try harder, give more, lose yourself piece by piece, just to keep her from shutting down again. But when you become aware of this, everything changes. You stop chasing. You stop begging. You hold your own emotional ground. You realize that someone pulling back on love to get their way isn't loving you. They're controlling you. And the only way to break this pattern is to stop reacting to the coldness, to sit in the silence, to stay calm in the distance. Because a woman should never be the source of your peace. You are. A relationship should be built on communication, not manipulation, on openness, not silent control. And if she chooses to weaponize her affection, let her. You don't need to chase what's real. You only need to protect your peace. That's what a stoic man does. Number 2, shaming masculinity. A man leads, he's called controlling. A man speaks up, he's called aggressive. A man sets boundaries, he's labeled toxic. This is the modern double bind, and it's crushing the spirit of countless men. Masculinity today is under a silent siege, not through open attack, but through shame, subtle jabs, passive corrections, constant suggestions that your natural traits as a man are a problem to be fixed. And many women, without even realizing it, have absorbed that message, not because they're bad, but because it's what the culture teaches them. You're told not to be assertive, it's intimidating. Not to be stoic, it's cold. Not to be logical, you're being dismissive. So what's left? You're told to be softer, more agreeable, more emotional. But then when you follow that script, something strange happens. She loses attraction. The respect fades, the polarity dies, because the same world that told you to soften punishes you when you do. And now you're stuck. Too masculine, you're toxic. Too soft, you're weak. It's a trap. A psychological loop with no exit, unless you wake up. Unless you choose to reclaim your masculine core, not as aggression, not as dominance, but as grounded, stable presence. Because masculinity isn't the problem. It's the foundation. It's what builds, what protects, what endures. But when that's shamed, men shrink. They second guess. They lose the fire that once drove them. That's why you must not apologize for being a man. Not now, not ever. You speak with calm authority. You hold your ground without yelling. You protect your peace without attacking. You lead, not because you want control, but because you know where you're going. And if she shames that, if she calls your clarity arrogance or your discipline control, you don't argue, you don't break. You simply keep walking in your truth, because your masculinity isn't something to shrink. It's something to stand in, not to prove, but to embody. A stoic man isn't ashamed of who he is. He's unshakable in it. And in that quiet strength, he becomes exactly what the world needs and what real women still crave. Number 3, guilt tripping and emotional debt. After everything I've done for you, you never appreciate me. You're always so selfish. These aren't just throwaway lines. They're hooks, emotional traps, words designed to pull you into a space where you're always in the wrong, always repaying, always apologizing. It starts subtly. You forget to text back quickly enough. You're tired one night and don't feel like talking. Suddenly, you're accused of not caring, of not giving enough. And you want to fix it because you're a good man. You do care. So you try harder. You over-explain. You buy gifts. You say sorry for things you didn't do. And slowly, without realizing it, you enter a prison built from guilt, a loop where you're constantly trying to prove that you're a good partner, a good man, a good person. But here's the harsh truth. If you always feel like you're repaying a debt in your relationship, that's not love. That's control. Emotional debt is the quiet currency of manipulation, and many women don't even realize they're doing it. They feel unloved or insecure, and instead of saying, "I need reassurance," they say, "You never do enough." It's not malicious, it's learned behavior. But that doesn't make it right. Because love isn't a scoreboard. Real love doesn't keep a ledger of who did what for who. In a healthy relationship, love is given freely, not traded like currency. When guilt is used as a weapon, it's no longer about connection. It becomes a performance. You, the man, constantly auditioning for approval. And the worst part? You start to lose yourself. You second-guess your instincts. You stay quiet to avoid another guilt trip. You overextend just to keep the peace. But peace bought with guilt is not peace, it's submission. So how do you break the cycle? By getting brutally honest. First with yourself. Ask, am I constantly feeling guilty for things I didn't do wrong? Then with her. Say what needs to be said, not with anger, but with clarity. I feel like I'm always apologizing. I'm doing my best, but I can't keep carrying guilt that doesn't belong to me. If she respects you, she'll listen. If she loves you, she'll reflect. If not, she'll double down. And that's your answer. You are not a debt to be collected. You are a man. And your worth is not measured by how much guilt you can carry. Stand up. Speak out. Reclaim your peace. Number 4. Playing the victim. Watch carefully when something goes wrong. Watch how the conversation shifts. 1 minute, you're trying to address something that hurt you. The next minute, you're comforting her. Somehow, no matter what happened, she becomes the one who's hurt. Even if she started the argument, even if she said something cruel, even if she broke your trust. She flips the script. Tears, silence, retreat. And suddenly, you're not talking about what went wrong. You're apologizing for bringing it up at all. This is the victim tactic. And it's powerful because it makes you doubt your own perspective. It turns your valid concerns into accusations. It manipulates the emotional climate until you feel like the bad guy. The more you engage in this emotional chess match, the more you lose your voice. You start to internalize guilt that doesn't belong to you. You start apologizing just to keep the peace. You start hiding how you feel because it always ends with you being painted as the problem. That's not healthy. That's emotional manipulation. And it doesn't always come from a place of cruelty. Many women use this tactic because it's what they've seen work. It shifts power. It avoids accountability. It silences confrontation. And in relationships, it can make a man feel like he's walking through emotional landmines every day. This doesn't mean you shouldn't be empathetic. This doesn't mean you ignore her pain. But you must recognize the pattern. When every conflict ends with you as the villain and her as the victim, that's not resolution. That's control. And real relationships require truth, clarity, mutual accountability, not one-sided guilt trips. So how do you respond? You stay grounded. You don't match emotion with more emotion. You don't explode. You don't shrink. The stoic man stays calm. He doesn't chase emotional storms. He observes them. He waits for the drama to settle, then calmly speaks the truth. I understand how you feel, but that doesn't change what happened. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to be honest. These simple truths, delivered with confidence and calm, cut through the fog. And they do something powerful. They shift the dynamic. They remind her that you see the game, that you won't be manipulated by guilt, that you will no longer apologize for holding boundaries. Because your peace matters, your truth matters, and you are not the villain in your own story. Don't let anyone write that role for you. Number 5, using intimacy as leverage. This one cuts deep because it's not just about attention, it's about your core. In the beginning, everything feels easy. She's affectionate, engaged, warm. The connection is effortless. But somewhere along the way, that connection starts coming with conditions. Suddenly, intimacy isn't something shared. It's something you have to earn. It's no longer a mutual expression of love or desire. It becomes a reward for saying the right thing, doing the right thing, being who she wants you to be. And it's subtle. She doesn't say, do this or else, but you feel it. The cold shoulder when you stand your ground, the distance when you have a disagreement, the sudden lack of warmth after you say no. What was once natural becomes transactional. And the worst part, most women don't even realize they're doing it. They've just learned that withholding intimacy gets results. More attention, more effort, more control. But the cost is massive, especially for men. Because when you tie your worth to someone's affection, you begin to shrink yourself to keep their love. You start walking on eggshells. You start questioning your value based on how warm or cold she is that day. And slowly, you lose power. You forget who you were before the approval chase began. Here's the truth. Intimacy is not a reward. It's not a test. It's not a performance bonus for being a good boy. It's supposed to be mutual, not manipulative. And when it becomes a tool for control, it's no longer love. It's a silent prison. So, what's the Stoic response? Detachment, not from love, but from neediness, from desperation, from the belief that your value depends on someone else's affection. The Stoic man doesn't beg for connection. He doesn't panic when it's withheld. He doesn't crumble when rejected. He stands firm in his self-worth. He knows, my value is constant. It doesn't increase with approval or decrease with rejection. I am whole without validation. I am strong, even in silence. I give love freely, but I never let love become a leash. When you stop chasing affection as a form of worth, you reclaim your power. And when you do that, you become unshakable. Number 6, the disappearing mirror. This is the slowest, most dangerous form of manipulation because it creeps in quietly. So quietly, you barely notice until you're gone. You start changing yourself bit by bit. How you speak, what you wear, the opinions you voice, all to keep her happy, to avoid conflict, to be easy. You stop spending time with your friends, drop hobbies that once fueled your passion, and shrink into a reflection of what she wants, rather than who you truly are. This isn't just about her actions. It's about your boundaries, or the lack of them. She might not even ask for these changes. You just keep giving and giving, thinking it's love, thinking it's necessary. Until one day, you realize there's nothing left of the man you once were. You've become a ghost of yourself. This is the ultimate manipulation, not because she planned it maliciously, but because you allowed it. And that's where your power lies, in stopping the cycle. You must return to yourself, rekindle your fire, reclaim your identity and purpose. The world doesn't need more agreeable shadows. It needs men who are rooted, grounded, whole, and awake. Men who stand firm in their truth, who don't vanish to please others. Because only when you are fully yourself can you build a life and a love that's real. Men, this isn't about blaming women. It's not about becoming bitter. It's about becoming aware. Because once you see the game, you can stop playing it. You can build relationships based on respect, truth, and mutual power, not fear, guilt, or emotional manipulation. Speak less, think more, respond with calm, observe the patterns, break the cycle. You are not here to be controlled. You are here to build, lead, rise. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to this channel, like, comment, and share this with a brother who needs to hear it. Because awareness is the first step, and your power begins the moment you reclaim your mind. Stay strong, stay calm, be stoic,